I'm so glad you're here listening to the Sustain Your Passion podcast. I'm Genesis, your host and business development expert. If you're ready to make a bigger impact and income while helping others, then you're in the right place. Thanks for joining me, and I can't wait to help you sustain your passion. Hi, everyone. So today I'm talking to Jenna Warriner about all things Instagram marketing and getting clients from social media. So I actually connected with Jenna through social media and am in her Instagram course now. Super helpful. And she is definitely to thank for all of the great content you've been seeing from me on Instagram lately. I've learned so much. And I invited her to come and join me on this episode so we could talk a bit more about marketing, Instagram, and getting clients from social media. So just to kick off our conversation, Jenna, I would love to hear a bit about you and how you got started with your business.
Woo! So I am a social media manager and I coach folks like yourself on how to get clients from Instagram. And I actually started absolutely nowhere near here as an actor. I grew up in the entertainment industry and on stage and whatnot.
Wow. Grew up on the stage. Okay. What? I think I saw at some point you're like still doing comedy, but tell me more about that. Like, have I seen you in anything?
Oh my gosh, probably a Tim Hortons commercial or two. You've probably seen my
Really?
hands. I did a ton of hand modeling too.
What?
Yeah, that paid really well. Here's the thing. When you're an actor, everyone tells you to make your own work because it is the only way to take control of your life. So I did everything anyone ever told me to be an actor. I went to the best musical theater college in Canada. My bartending job was at a comedy venue so I could get to know people there. I took every class. I went to LA. I went to New York. I did everything that I sent the postcards. I got the headshots. I got the new headshots. I got more headshots. Like if you told me that it would help me get seen, went to the red carpets, went to the opening parties, whatever. I tried it and I still could just barely move the needle. I was just still not moving fast enough. And so finally, I tried that final thing, that make your own work thing. A friend of mine and I, we wrote a show, a one-woman musical, and I started touring it in the Fringe. And so we started in Toronto, did a workshop in Toronto, and then we toured. I think we might have even got a bit of a grant to do that. And then toured it to Winnipeg, turned it to Edmonton. And when I did that, I got so much press. I was like on the cover of the newspaper, on the breakfast television. It was going great, right? But it was actually selling basically no tickets. I was singing to empty chairs.
Okay, dang.
And I would fly home, like I actually flew home between two major cities to bartend, to pay for the hostel that I was staying in. Like I didn't feel like a success at all. Alas, when I got back to Toronto after all of it, at the end of the summer, two people in 1 week said to me, "Congratulations on your success." So that sent me into like this existential crisis because I'm like, what the hell do you mean success? Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to be paying back this visa bill for And I realized that they weren't in those cities with me. They didn't see those empty seats. They just saw what I shared on social media. They didn't even see the breakfast television or the newspapers. They just saw what I shared on social media of those things. So to them, it looked like I had really accomplished this feat. And to me, I was feeling like not so much. So that made me wonder, like, what are my skills and how can I be using what I just learned from this experience? So I was a really good publicist for myself. So I investigated that. And then I got a little scholarship to do a digital marketing program. And I learned about that. And I just started trying to investigate other things while still bartending, while still gripping on to this dream of being an actor, but just starting to dip my toe into this other world of marketing.
Wow. What a full circle. Okay, so I have so many questions. Also, I'm like trying really hard not to like stare at your hands now every time you like talk with your hands. I really want to see like what are these actor hands? Like that is so interesting. Um didn't even know that was a thing, but now that I'm thinking about it, like totally tracks, right? If somebody is like showing off a phone or chocolates or something in a
Credit
commercial.
card. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's an actor that was being hand acting, I guess. And then okay, Did I hear you say you were singing to empty chairs? So does that mean you were
Yeah,
singing in
yeah.
your show?
Yeah. I grew up singing. I was in every single choir, and the school I went to was for musical theater specifically. And this
Mm.
show was a one-woman musical. I did a lot of like cabaret singing and like comedy singing in dirty bars and basements throughout my 20s. It was a big thing for me.
That sounds so fun and very entertaining. It's also making me think of there's that show Hacks, I think. That's what it's called. Have you seen it yet?
I haven't seen it yet, no.
Oh man, you should watch it. I bet you'd like it. It's pretty funny. I can imagine similar moments perhaps in those some of those bars. So then it sounds like really what led you to where you're at now was realizing I know how to promote stuff. I just maybe didn't like know what I was promoting to like close sales. So talk to me about that transition from I could promote the heck out of things, but then to like how to close sales while promoting, right? So how did you bridge that gap?
Yeah. So my audience that was seeing all of this social media, they were still in Toronto. They were nowhere near where they could buy a
Mm,
ticket to see a show.
okay, yeah.
So if I'd have come back to Toronto at the end of the tour, I probably would have sold it out.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show how important it is to make sure that your messaging is reaching the right people, because it doesn't mean your messaging is bad if it's not converting, but you're saying it to the wrong crowd, right? I actually just sent my list an email about that today.
Yes. Dang, that makes a lot of sense, right? Like people probably would have loved to join it, but they just couldn't. So they knew like it's not really for me, but like go Jenna, go.
Well, I mean, and in this world, it used to be that you needed like 7 touch points with your audience before they bought something. So actually, let me give you an example. Like I said, I was penny pinching when I was on this tour, but to my theater in Edmonton, every day I needed to walk by this store window that had this furry jacket in it. And it was just so ridiculous. And I needed it. And so the first day I walked by and I was like, oh, wow, that's beautiful. And then the next day I walked by to the theater and I like left a little bit early and I went in and I looked at it and touched it and looked at the price. And then the next day I went in and I tried it on. And it took me like 5 days of walking by this jacket and thinking about it before I decided I'm just going to go for it. And I bought this jacket. And then actually, I didn't even have enough room in my suitcase. So I had to wear it on the plane home. It's like faux fur jacket.
You probably felt fabulous.
Right. But we don't buy something the very first time we see it if it's like a major investment or until we've built up trust with the seller, right? Like if this was just a table on the street, they wouldn't have had the trust that I had walking into a boutique fashion store, right?
Yeah.
So I already had the trust and I already saw them and saw them again and again and again and again, which made me ready to buy. If someone saw me without knowing who I was on breakfast television, they're not immediately sold, right? They might be, and if they are, great, but it's more realistic that they would see me multiple times and then watch the trailer and then follow me on social media and then buy a ticket to the show.
Totally. Yeah, that's making me think of like customer journey mapping, right? Where like the customer first encounters your brand and becomes aware of it. That was the first day you saw it in the window. And then the consideration phase of like, I'm thinking about it. Where could I wear it? To actually like, okay, I need to try this on. I'm actually in the like, I could be buying any day now, hot lead phase, right? To then making the decision. And that is so relevant for every business, right? And really speaks to your point of it takes multiple touch points. But I've heard that 7 number is actually way higher these days. Have you heard about that? Like in the digital marketing world?
In digital marketing, now the number, last I heard it was somewhere around 32.
Oh my.
And there's also a figure out there that we receive 5,000 ads a day. So if you just look around you, like everything's got a logo and a brand name on it, and then a truck drives by and it says Cisco on it, and then you're scrolling through TikTok and you see all these ads, like even our clothing. So it makes sense. We're just bombarded with marketing at all times. And then one of my biggest skills, so I went from entertainment to marketing. And what does that tell us? Like your marketing should also be entertainment. And I think you can probably attest after working with me that I really believe in that.
Totally.
Your post should be entertaining your audience into wanting to work with you.
Right. And that was something I never incorporated into my approach before. It was very much like, my education background was like, you have things you need to learn. I will teach them to you. So obviously that means you will want to buy from me. But incorporating more like play and fun and humor just, I think, has shifted my brand to be so much more accessible and personalized and helps people see like my weird quirks and goofy like humor and things that I like. And so people feel more comfortable to reach out to me. And it's working. So I definitely believe it.
And there's so many more selling factors about you that are hidden in that, right? And as soon as you start, maybe you're thinking, oh, I'm showing off that I'm silly, but someone is seeing something totally different. Like there's this business coach in Canada who's really, really popular and she's really cutthroat and she's wonderful. And if she shows up on social media and shows that she has this cutthroat attitude, she's going to attract people who like that learning style. But I am a let's laugh a bit, compliment sandwich kind of coach, right?
Yes.
So if I show up with my goofiness, you're going to get that impression. And if that's the type of person you want to work with, you're going to gravitate towards me. So just by showing an ounce of your personality, you're selling.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. I think a lot of the times, like when I'm working with clients, I'll say, love yourself, love your product, love your clients. And it's all founded on like self-awareness, right? Because how do you love something that you don't have full awareness of? Like it's kind of hard to. So if you get to know yourself, it's easier then to appreciate it and allow yourself to be seen for those reality, like those real parts of you, you know? But doing it to yourself is really freaking hard. So I'm curious, like, I was definitely attracted to you and your brand. And I think something that you have given me permission to do in a new way because you've supported me through your program, like very tangible skills and activities and things like that, right? But this overarching comfort with being online and like showing up as your true self in your business online. And I think theoretically, I always understood that, but like putting it into practice feels hard, right? But I am guessing that leverage that you had and have and bring to your work is your acting background and like theater and performance. So I'm just curious if you could talk a bit about how do you feel confident showing up online as your true self, and how can other people that are maybe struggling with that also learn from you to feel more confident to be themselves in their business online?
Yeah, when I first started making this transition, although I might have had confidence to show up on camera, I didn't have confidence in my abilities. Like all I'd done was I'd managed few social media accounts because my yoga studio I volunteered at begged me to. And then I asked the bar I worked at if I could handle theirs for a couple $100 a month. That's it. Right. So then I started going, okay, well, I'll just try and get some clients, I guess, so that this can supplement my income, because apparently this is what I do now. And I thought that meant putting on a blazer and heels and having like a nice notepad and doing my hair and walking into meetings pretending to be this like pink version of corporate so that people would trust me. So like I didn't have confidence. I was just using what tools I had in my little tool belt, like a costume and a fake persona, to feign that confidence. And I actually didn't have the confidence to even post on social media too much about what I was doing, because I still wanted to be seen as an actor. So while I was building my business, I wasn't even out there telling the world this is what I do, but people started to know me for it and they started to refer people to me. And then occasionally I'd mention if I was doing something cool, like social media at Comic-Con or something, then I would post about it. But I didn't even start promoting myself on social media until a business coach made me like 2 years ago. I was doing all my clients and they're all entrepreneurs, but I wasn't doing it for myself. And so I think part of like, I don't know if it counts as confidence, but part of it was just like, hey, it's time. Yeah. And these are the rules and you need to buck up and post about how amazing you are and the amazing work that you can have in someone's life and how much you can change them based on your service. It's time. And I kind of started doing it because my coach said it was time.
I love that. Yes. You know, the confidence comes after you do the scary thing, right? But people wait and wait and wait and wait and wait to do the scary thing until they feel confident. But it's like your brain is smart and like you can't trick it into feeling confident when you don't have proof yet. Like, why would your brain think you would be confident to do a new scary thing that you are telling yourself every day is so scary? It's not confidence that you need, it's courage. And it sounds
That's
like your coach helped you
beautiful.
with that.
I love that, Genesis. Like the bravery comes before the confidence. Like you need to trick yourself into being brave, and then you can tell everyone how you gained so much confidence.
Yes. And you also said, so the way I think of it is clarity, courage, confidence. And like one of my posts, I should probably make a post about this again. It's been a minute, but I'll say confidence comes after courage. And so thinking about what you said was, she told me, here are the rules and just fucking do it. Like, just do it. Right. Like, it's going to be scary, but just do it. And ultimately, the rules part, like, that's the clarity. And people wait for the feeling before they go and learn the clarity they need, when it's like the clarity and the fucking guts to just rip the band-aid. It's really all it takes. And then all of a sudden you can look back and be like, hey, I didn't die. Like, I didn't lose all my friends. Like, it wasn't that bad. And then you become confident. So that totally tracks with like, yeah, a really common experience that I think a lot of business owners are sitting out there struggling with is like, but I
Well,
don't feel confident to do it yet. So
what happens is we go, but people who are following me right now on social media are my friends and family and Susan from high school, right? So what are they going to think when I start talking about my business? And I'm going to annoy them. And the thing is, they can just unfollow you. That's
right.
chill. That's
Yes.
fine. And also, probably they know someone who could be your client. And if they actually care about you, they're going to be excited when they see you going on this new endeavor. And chances are they're going to refer someone to you.
Yeah, that's a
Like
really good point.
I post about social media every day and how to get clients. And I still have loads of people that follow me because I went to college with them or whatever.
Yeah.
And then often those people, you know what, this girl just came to me. She's been one of my friends since kindergarten, and she's not self-employed, and she follows, and she's obviously followed me my whole life. And then she calls me and she's like, hey, so my boss wants to maybe like hire someone for social media. And I saw this thing that you said about this. And I saw this thing that you said about that. And I saw this other reel where you gave this advice. And I'm just like she literally isn't even my ideal client, or I didn't think she was.
Yeah.
And she's been watching every piece of content and learning from it enthusiastically. So instead of just guessing that people are going to hate it, what you're talking about, like maybe guess that they're going to love it.
Yeah, that's right. If you're going to make an assumption one way or the other, like, it makes sense that your brain is trying to protect you by pointing out the risks. And heck, if you deal with anxiety, which most of my listeners do, and like if you struggle with overthinking, you probably are thinking that there's a very big risk to showing up. But that's such a good point, that equal chances, right? That like somebody might turn out to be really, really supportive, but
Yeah.
you're hiding from both of those opportunities
Yeah. You just
if
don't
you're
know.
not showing up. Yeah.
You have to. And that's another thing. And it sounds so simple. You're hiding from opportunities if you don't show up. It sounds so simple, but it's so true. Like, think about the goals you have for your business, like whether they're monetary or you want clout and accolades, or you want to help massive amounts of people. You literally can't do those things unless people know you exist.
Yes, totally. Yeah. Yeah. Gosh, that makes me think of how this is such a non sequitur, but like in the pandemic, there's been this conversation that um our social skills have been influenced, right? And it's very talked about with like kiddos, because we assume that everyone's social skills are developed before they're age 10, and then they're great for the rest of their life. But like, we as adults are constantly developing social skills too, and like building relationships and communicating. But being in this like lockdown new world of pandemic life also means that our comfort with being seen and showing up and being ourselves and getting feedback from people in real time that are like enjoying getting to know us has been influenced, right? We don't have as many experiences over the last couple of years to reference, and our brains pretty much store like 2 years at a time. So if we don't have those recent positive experiences interacting with new people to call upon to be like, well, that person thought I was okay. And if you deal with anxiety, so you think of negative shit all the time, you're probably just operating with like a poor data set, which sucks because ultimately it comes back to what you said of like, you just got to just do it at some point. And like, it's so great that you knew you needed a coach to help you through that, because ultimately making that decision to show up and let yourself be seen can feel really unsafe if you're not supported. So, how do you think your coach helped you through that process? I heard like rules, I heard some like buck up, get to it. Like, were there any other specific lessons you think that helped you through that transition?
Well, the reason I went to my coach was because I was capped out on hours, and my income reflected that cap. It was like, looking forward, I don't know how I'm going to make more if I've used up all my hours.
Right.
And I was like really burnt out, but enjoying what I was doing. And every time I would go to like a business event or sit on a call or whatever, there was all this language that I didn't even understand. Like, I was like, what is brick and mortar? What is
Mhm.
scale? What is
Mhm.
boundary? Like, I literally didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
And so I found a coach who helped you scale and tidy up a service-based business specifically, and then to launch a program. And someone else had told me that the best way to scale your service-based business was to launch a program. So she said that she would do that. And I thought I was going for the program thing. And I actually, the massive value I got from it, well, the program, but also streamlining my systems, adding boundaries, learning how to communicate with my clients, showing up in a way that was strategic for myself, because I'd done it for my clients a million times, but I hadn't actually invested in myself. I started being able to get clients other than referrals. 90% of my clients had been only coming from referrals. So with her, I started marketing myself. So to your question, I think a big piece of it was I am a rule follower. And on top of her like mindset coaching, there was like a system, and it was like, do this and then do this. And it was like very step by step. And I love a step by step system that I can just follow and then add to it, break it, make it my own later.
Mhm.
So her whole methodology was like, I will give them every single thing they need so that they realize it's actually a mindset issue.
Right. Yep. That that feels very familiar. That's awesome. I love that because yeah, depending on how your coach thought about it and taught about this dynamic, it's fairly simple to run a business, but it's not easy, right? It's like you have a thing you do, you find people that want that thing, they buy from you. Like it could be boiled down that simple. But how to actually do all of that comes with so many other lessons you have to learn and so much like doubt and questions, especially as a new entrepreneur and when you're trying to scale. Uh, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm so glad you found a coach to help you scale because now, like, what are some of the outcomes that you found? It sounds like you launched your program.
Yeah. I mean, I work half as much and make 10 times more,
Nice.
which is the dream. And now I get to fix other things in my life.
Right.
So I launched the program, and then so I did it with the live launch style, which means cohorts come in. So I will welcome a group of people in a few times a year. And then when I got good at that, I thought I will try the evergreen style. So I got a new coach. Still no one holds a candle to Courtney Shaw, who I'm just like her biggest what do you call it? Like cheerleader. I just love her so much. She transformed my whole life and my business. But anyway, got a new coach, wasn't as good, but she gave me all the tools that I needed to launch an evergreen program. And then I thought I would try that. Like I said, I'm really a big fan of finding a system, buying into it. Like everything works if you commit to it. You know, every coach who's worth their salt or program that's worth its salt, you're going to get results if you fully commit to it. And then you can get even bigger results after you master it. And then you can like add your own spin. That's what I think.
Totally. Yes, 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 and yes. Um, the nerd in me is like, that is developmental theory. So it typically starts with like a black and white thinking of like, this is the rule set, this is wrong, right? We look for very clear black and white, tell me what's right, tell me what's wrong, when we're new to things, when we're new to learning and developing our skills in a skill set. We get to a point where we probably want to throw the rules out the window because we hit something where we're like, this is hard, it must be wrong, didn't work the first time I tried it, or what have you. Like we kind of swing to the other side of like, this shit sucks. And then we bounce back out somewhere in the center because we realize, okay, this can work if I allow myself to take a little bit of control over the rules too and make it my own. And so I've found over the years, you know, some coaches are going to tell you that these are the rules, this is what's wrong, branch out of it, and you're the problem. Other coaches are going to say there's no rules, just be yourself, right? And then there's coaches in the middle that are like, this is the process and this is you. Let's meld those together and hope you find what works best for you. And it sounds like that's really what you were able to do, because now you got the outcomes you wanted and your business is growing. That's so cool.
Yeah. I try and with my own clients, my own program members, to say like, commit to this strategy. And then if I'm watching and they really need to bend the rules for their own, like the way their brain works or the way their creativity flows, then I'll maybe give some permission to, like, obviously you can do what you want, but like I'll encourage them to like change the plan. But it's that frustration phase that you mentioned where you can't let people tap out there, even if they're mad at you for it.
Yes.
When you're guiding someone, like you can't let them tap out when they get to the hard bit, because the result is on the other side of it.
Right. Exactly. And yes, yes, yes. That's where like all of the importance of commitment and how long your program is and what the support looks like through those challenges, like all come into play to develop a really strong offer that gets your clients results, which yeah, I could talk about that and have in so many other episodes. So back to marketing. Okay, so I think we've talked a bit about like confidence to know, you know, how to show up online and as yourself in your business. But I'd love to focus in a bit more on Instagram because I know that that is your jam. You are like my Instagram person that I think of every time that I'm like, what is this weird Instagram thing? Jenna might know. Let me go ask her. So, how would you say that someone could decide if Instagram is right for them or their business versus something like a TikTok strategy or Facebook groups or heck, even LinkedIn or Pinterest? Like, how would you say someone could get to know if Instagram would work for them in their business?
Right. Okay. So I am a bit of a brat about this first bit, but if you don't like it, I am not interested in sitting here trying to convince you to like it. Like for me, it's like life's too short. If you hate it, don't do it. Go somewhere else. Like I'll never just try and convince someone to like it.
Yes.
If you don't like it, you don't like it. The fact is there's billions of users on each of those platforms you just mentioned. And that means your customers are there as well. So sure, there could be a platform that's best for your skills. Like if you have zero perfectionism and you're good at like technology, like video and stuff, TikTok's a great place to be. But if you have an ounce of perfectionism, you're not going to turn out enough content to make that platform happy.
Oh.
And if you're a really good writer, then LinkedIn, you could probably really optimize your skills there because you can be writing articles, right? And you can be verbose and it's cool. And you'll find your people there. Whatever platform you prefer, you can find your people there. It might be a little bit more challenging on some or easier on others, but first you have to just like it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I've heard people say, you know, what do you use the most? Because chances are you already know enough about how the app works that you know what you like and what you dislike. So you're probably more familiar with it. You've maybe posted your dog pictures for a year. So, like, you know how to click around on it. Would you say that that's also related to that? Is like that you have been using it for a bit?
If you've already been using it, then I think you're like a couple steps ahead because you don't need to learn something new. But all of these platforms are designed for normal humans to generate content. So ultimately they are all designed to be user friendly. It's not like you have to build a WordPress site to use Pinterest, right?
Right.
Also I suck at Pinterest. I find it really confusing, but if I were going to commit to it, I would be able to figure it out.
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah, Pinterest I found is like a long game. It is great for like long form and like pushing. It's, SEO driven. So it's great because the people that land on your site are highly interested and highly motivated by the content that they landed on. But your pins have a really long lifetime. And so you might not get as like quick of results as you might get on something like Instagram. So I
Yeah.
would say like the length of time in the articles of um LinkedIn talked about like lots of content being churned out on TikTok. What would you say is like what Instagram is looking for?
So now so as of 2023, Instagram announced they're not going to focus primarily on video like they did last year. So last year it became like if you weren't making reels and you weren't going on camera, then you were kind of having a hard time on the platform. Some people were.
Mhm.
It wasn't, that was the general consensus, but it's anecdotal. But anyway, now they're not just prioritizing reels, they're prioritizing carousels and static images and photo posts and stuff like that, or lives or stories or whatever. So it's back to being anyone's game because literally anyone can make that content. Canva is free. It comes with built-in templates. It is so easy to make graphics. You just need to know what the heck to say. Anyone can take a picture with their phone in their pocket. Like when Instagram started, I didn't have the phone I have today, maybe one shot in 10 tries looked decent enough to post, but now you can post amazing photos just from your phone. So in my opinion, it is the most accessible out of all of your options. But like you said, you're not playing the long game with each individual piece of content. Each individual piece of content is only going to last a few days or like months if you're lucky, but it's rare. So someone actually was like kind of being a bit of a sass to me on TikTok for using slang and saying that it's okay to write like you speak. And they were saying, well, your copy shouldn't immediately be dated though, right? And they had like come at me for some of the slang that I had used because they said it was dated. And I'm like, you know what? If my Instagram post is immediately dated, I've won because it means that I was so on trend and contemporary for a platform when content only lasts 3 days. Then yes, make it dated. That's great. That means you know what's going on. You got your finger on the pulse.
That's a good point. And that's how you get those like viral posts, right? Is that a lot of people are talking about something and you know how to take that current trend and adapt it to your brand and be thinking about that as it's moving. I had a client recently, right after the Super Bowl, they made memes of Rihanna and she was like posting over and over and over again the same Rihanna picture, but with different things, like different captions to it. And then she did the same thing this last week with Kevin Hart, because I guess something happened with him recently. And it's like those posted so well. And it was just because she was interested in it and she was posting about things that were topical and trendy. But that's not like the only thing she can do,
And you
That's
can't
really
post that same Rihanna meme next October. Everyone's going to be like, wait, what is this? Right. So, and at the same, I do want to call attention to if you're out there and you're thinking about being on Instagram, you don't just need to be doing trends and this type of viral stuff or like something happens in the news on the weekend. So you have to make a post for it on Monday. That's not the strategy that I preach either. We're just saying that the content has a shorter lifespan versus LinkedIn or Pinterest. And another thing I need to say that sometimes people go, well, I cater to a professional audience, right? My audience is heart surgeons. I sell heart surgeons hats, right? Say that's what you sell. Just because your audience is a professional or an academic doesn't mean you have to be on LinkedIn because those people are still scrolling Instagram on the toilet on their breaks. They're still just people.
Yeah, that is very true. And it really just depends on when, I guess I have an idea of how I would help someone decide which app then to meet that person on. Because let's say the heart surgeon, right, is also on LinkedIn and is also on Instagram and is also on Facebook. How would you help someone decide where they should be creating content for that same heart surgeon that's on all of them?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's as simple as what I said. Like, which one do you like the best? And like you said, which one do you have the most experience on? And unless you can make 3 videos a day, don't choose TikTok. And
Yes.
then like literally just choose and then commit to it, because another mistake is trying to spread yourself too thin because you end up doing an okay job on 3 platforms instead of killing one. And like something like LinkedIn or Instagram, you really need the momentum of continuously being good at it. And the momentum's going to serve you more, most likely, than being okay at 3 different platforms.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I was thinking about, is there a difference of like buying behavior between LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook? Like, are people more receptive to buy or be interested in learning about brands and all of them? But I think it exists on all of them, right? Like everybody's served ads and marketing in all of those spaces. So yeah, it's probably just comes back to ultimately, what app do you want to create for? And if you're using Instagram, you're probably going to enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, we're talking about service-based business owners predominantly, but like, I don't know, I have a client who they sell farmhouse decor.
Okay.
God, it's so much fun for me to do their marketing because I'm just like basically online shopping for hours. And
Yes.
I think like that.
Must
Like
be
I
really
just,
hard too. Like a shopping cart would be so full.
yeah. So like I wouldn't put them on LinkedIn because it's not a
Mhm.
photo driven
Oh,
platform,
yeah.
and are and people don't go there typically to shop. Like they'd be better on the other ones.
That makes
Right.
sense.
So I don't know. I guess there's no
Yeah,
like black and white answer.
totally. I like that. Hmm. So much to consider with it too, but ultimately it does come back to like what's going to be sustainable for you. And I heard you call out a couple times, right? Like for the longer game or of like commit to it for a bit, right? And like stick with it, get better at it. Do you have in your mind of like, let's say there's someone right now listening that's like, okay, I'm gonna commit. You're right. I have been spreading myself too thin. Which I I don't I don't think you need to be on all apps at all times. So I'm totally with you. Like pick one, maybe two, if you're real ambitious. But so let's say they're thinking, okay, I'm gonna jump into Instagram wholeheartedly. What would you say is that time period that you would want them to be like solidly committed to exploring and getting better at Instagram and posting regularly? How long would you say like commit for this long and then check in again on if it's worked or not?
Oh, great question. So typically with our retainer clients, we start to see their big results after 3 months.
Hmm.
Because when you think about it, we have to get into the account. We need to sort of get the flow. We need to understand the audience. We need to build this strategy, which is pretty reflective of someone who's new to the platform, figuring out how it works in that initial phase. And then you need to remind your audience who you are if you haven't been showing up. And then you need to practice your messaging, unless you've already worked with someone and you've nailed your messaging and you know every objection that your client has and you know every result that they want. You've heard it, like you probably haven't, right? So all of that's kind of like a journey. So if like short answer, 90 days, don't commit to anything for less than 90 days. Even in your life, even just like your life goals, you'll
Yeah.
see those results after 3 months. But
Yeah.
if you're going to start like showing up on Instagram, show up consistently for 90 days and you'll probably get some smaller wins sooner than that, but some bigger wins after, and you'll keep getting better and better. So a lot of people are like, okay, well, I don't have time for that. I'm just going to do paid ads. But guess what? You're going to be literally flushing your money down a drain because you haven't put the time in to figure out what language works, what messaging works. So it's better to nail your organic strategy, strap in and get good at it and practice. And then if a post flops, who cares? It's not like you put $100 behind an ad that flopped. And then you'll find out what posts really nail it, what posts bring in new leads and clients, and those become your ads.
Right.
They've been tested for free at that point.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Absolutely. That makes me think of just like funnels in general. I feel like there's a lot of people out there, and like this is actually what I did in my first 6 months of starting my business. I was taught how to run a webinar funnel, and then advised to spend thousands of dollars every month on Facebook ads. And there was a very, very short window of testing, but there was always moving variables. And so it was like false belief of the data, right? Like it wasn't really that substantiated, but I didn't know better. And so that's what I was being advised to do. So I just spent a shit ton of money on ads. Whereas now it's like I use ads occasionally if I want to test something quickly because I want to make sure people see it and then find out like, oh, this title versus that one worked better. But to your point of like, yeah, it's a lot easier to just like try stuff for free. These
Mhm.
apps are free, and yet you still could be converting clients and building your email list by showing up and seeing what fits for your audience and your brand.
And even like an ad, Facebook will tell you when you're running an ad that it has like a 7 to 14 day learning period.
Yeah.
You're already at half a month at that point.
Yes, exactly. And it can change so fast from like, oh, $5 a conversion overnight to like $45 a conversion. Yeah, I'm glad I'm through the ads phase. So this actually makes me think of something else that I think you probably have some interesting thoughts on is how can you change your mind? Like, let's say you're committing to 90 days. You're like, all right, I'm going to be on Instagram for 3 months. What if you want to change your mind about like how you're posting or what you're posting or what your brand really is all about or your offers? Like, what would you say to someone that is worried about changing what they're talking about on Instagram?
You can always 110% change your mind. Nothing is permanent. No decision is permanent. You could tell me today, actually, Genesis, I think you have changed your mind about your target audience in the time that we've known each other.
Yeah.
And look at you. We're
Yeah.
fine. You
Yep.
can serve dogs one day and cats another, and it literally doesn't matter. And so it's such a good point because people hold back marketing because they're not sure if that's the direction that they fully want to go. But listen, people forget what you told them. They weren't listening in the first place, or they did, and then they acknowledge that you changed your mind. Like it's not actually as big a deal as we make it out to be. I wouldn't recommend changing your mind every 2 weeks,
Mhm.
but you could drop a new product and then retract it. Like you can change your mind. It's absolutely allowed. It's expected, and not as many people care and notice as you think do.
Yeah, that's so true. Like people aren't thinking about you the way that you're thinking about you. Like Alexis Rose quote, I think, when she was talking to David, right? And he was like freaking out about uh there was that quote of or that scene where they're like going for his driver's test or whatever, and he was so worried. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense, right? I'm in it. So I know what I was air quotes supposed to be posting about today, but I changed my mind. Nobody else knew what it could have been or should
Yeah.
have been. They're just
Or
excited to see you showing up.
maybe you contradict yourself based on something you said yesterday. Who cares?
Yeah, right.
You're only going to get to your goals if you put yourself out there and you get in front of people and you make people aware of what you sell and how you can help them. And if you still don't believe that people aren't paying attention, most people don't know my business name, like my friends and clients. I don't use it a ton, but I even have good friends who don't know what I do. And they follow me on Instagram where I'm posting, 5 to 10 times a week. And they actually don't know what I do. One person actually hired me. I did the marketing for a business where we both worked together, and she eventually moved up into a role where she was my boss. And then that was years ago. And then years went by, and then she called to ask me what my services were and to ask if I even did social media management or I only coached or whatever it was. Like she didn't even know.
Yes.
This is a past client and a friend. So no one's paying attention to you, man. And that's also why you got to be loud.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. And yeah, the like keep showing up, right? And let yourself be seen. It really comes back to that idea of if you like it, if you've got stuff to say, like just try it and then learn what works and what doesn't. And you're probably still not posting as much as you could be if you wanted to post. But ultimately, like, it's okay if you change your mind, if you post one day and take the next day off. Like, there's no hard and fast rules of what's going to perfectly predict your success.
Right. And then like, as you've seen, when you talk about like people are, oh, well, how much do I need to post? Well, Jenna's posting 10 times a week. You don't need to do that. I recommend 5 times a week. And then, as you know, when you work with me, I give you systems on how to make that more sustainable and easier. And so you're making posts faster so that 5 posts a week doesn't actually feel as scary as it might sound right now. But even if you can start with 2 posts a week, but commit to it and really make those posts happen. And then start to try and get a little bit of perspective on what tasks is going into you accomplishing that and what thoughts are holding you back if you want to be proactive about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Well, we've covered a lot today. I'd love to just see if you have any final tips or lessons or things you would hope to have as takeaways from our conversation.
One thing, since I know that the folks listening are like, a lot of them are probably new business owners. I also would love to share that you only need a couple hundred followers to make sales. And especially if what you're selling is like above $500, you only need a couple thousand of the right followers to make shit tons of money a year.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people go into it comparing themselves to others, thinking they need to hit this like 5K, 10K mark. I was making 70K before I had 2,000 followers a year. Like, I think something around that mark, because I don't know it offhand because it doesn't fucking matter. If you can learn how to attract the right people and convert the right people, you don't need this astronomical number of followers in order to hit your revenue goals. So the things that we've already talked about, choosing your platform, being really confident in who you are, showing up anyway, not being afraid to maybe say the wrong thing and have to change your mind later, showing your heart and who you are to your audience, understanding the value you bring, all of those things, that's the real secret sauce. It has nothing to do with having 5,000 followers.
Oof. Yeah. I needed to hear that like over and over again. I feel like it's so easy to get in that comparison game. So I appreciate that reminder, and it's so true. Great point. Awesome. So how can folks find you if they want to learn more about all of the awesome things you offer?
Yeah, come see me on Instagram at Jenna's page with an I, JENNASPAIGE. It's my middle name. Same on TikTok if you're over there. And I share marketing tips and tips to grow on social media, tips to manage your social media faster, and all that sort of stuff pretty much every day.
Awesome. Yes, there's so much good content, and I pretty much always guarantee like I'm going to laugh at something I see from you at least once a week. So it's a fun place to hang out. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining me. I will be sure to include links on the post on my website for this episode. So if anybody wants to go find the exact link or spelling, check out this podcast post on my website. And I just want to say thanks so much, Jenna, and look forward to our next coaching call.
Woo!
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Sustain Your Passion podcast. If this episode helped you gain a bit more clarity, courage, or confidence, please share it with your friends on social media or in a text. It would mean the world to me. Thanks in advance for sharing this episode. I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.